Do you turn the other way when a black cat crosses your path? Do you avoid walking underneath ladders? Do you knock on wood to prevent disappointment? Well, then you, my friend, are a believer in superstitions. Superstitions have really fascinating origins, and they're probably not something that many of you have given very much thought into. And so that's what I'm going to tell you about today. And I personally don't have very much first-hand knowledge of superstitions, so I did some research on them. And some of those websites that I did research on are Live Science, MSN, and Greeka. So all superstitions had to start somewhere. And that's what I'm going to tell you about. And along with telling you about that, I'm going to tell you about some weird superstitions that I found along the way, which is what I'm going to start with. Don't eat lettuce if you want to have children. This one is a little controversial because there's another superstition that says if you eat lettuce, it'll put a woman into labor. Pass a newborn baby through a rind of cheese. This one is where the family, when they found out a baby was conceived, they would make a wheel of cheese and they would let it sit for 9 months until the baby was born, and once the baby was born, they would eat the cheese and they would pass the newborn baby through the rind as a sort of christening. If a pregnant woman craves fish and she doesn't eat it, her baby will be born with the head of a fish. Fun fact about that one, it originated in Canada. If you leave leftovers on your plate, you'll have an ugly spouse. This one was probably created in order to get kids to eat their vegetables. If you cut a baby's nails before they're a year old, they'll become a thief. And I don't know how many of you have not cut your nails in an entire year, but that's a long time to wait. If you want to make a man fall in love with you, take a piece of your nail and bake it into a cake and then give it to him. That one doesn't need a whole lot of explaining, it's just weird. And the last one is, if you hear a turtle dove, spin around 3 times, and in your left shoe, you'll find a hair of your true love. And if any of you try that and it works, please let me know. So now that I've told you about some weird superstitions, let me tell you about where some more common superstitions came from. So the first place that I'm going to talk about is Egypt. The most famous one that came from Egypt is walking under a ladder is bad luck. And this has to do with the pyramids and how they're triangular shaped, and when a ladder is upright and on a wall, or like put upright, it's a triangle. And so walking underneath the triangle was seen as bad luck because they're sacred to the Egyptians. And the other one is when a black cat crosses your path. The Egyptians had high regards for cats, so it wasn't really seen as bad luck. It was more good luck when a cat crossed your path. But that leads me into my next place, England. When King Charles I's cat died, the next day he was arrested and charged for high treason. And that's how a black cat became known as bad luck. The other one that came from England is don't open an umbrella indoors. And this came from Victorian England, and the umbrellas had sharp spokes and clumsy opening mechanisms, so it was actually dangerous to open an umbrella indoors. The next place that I'm going to talk about is Viking lore. And the main one that comes from this is that the number 13 is unlucky. The story goes that there were 12 Norse gods all dining in Valhalla together when Loki decided to crash the party. And in their debacle, Balder, one of the favorites among the gods, actually died. And so Loki, being the 13th god and the god of mischief, led to the number 13 being bad luck. And this one was so widespread that a lot of buildings don't have a 13th floor. And the last place that I'm going to talk about is ancient Greece. And the main one that came from ancient Greece is breaking a mirror brings 7 years of bad luck. This was where mirror seers would take a mirror and dip it in water, and if the ill person who looked into it, if their image was distorted, then they were likely to die. And if it was clear, then they were going to live. So I have told you about some weird superstitions. along with telling you about the fascinating origins of some more common superstitions. So now, I have a few questions for you. The next time a black cat crosses your path, are you still going to walk through? The next time you come across a ladder, will you walk under it? The next time someone says something about good fortune, will you knock on wood? Do you still believe in superstitions?